Ready? The first slide is just honorable mentions. This is 18 honorable mentions in alphabetical order here, and I'll just read it off for you quickly. We got Roulette by Alphamist, not Alchemist, Alphamist. It's a jazz record. We got Gollywog by Billy Woods, Essex Honey by Blood Orange, Starline by Chance the Rapper, Psychic Warfare Department by Chester Watson, Dumb by Emma Louise and Flume, Alfredo 2 by Freddie Gibbs and the Alchemist, Hyper Youth by Joey Valance and Bray, Rhoda by Cal Banks, who's one of the newest signees to TDE. We got Piff by Lord Sco, Kaus by Miguel, Showbiz Deluxe by Mike, Light Years by Nas and DJ Premier, Ultrasound by The Neighborhood, Zombie Love Kensington Paradise Deluxe by Skrilla 67. We got Monster of the Week by Tulpa, Viagra Boys by Viagra Boys, and Moisturizer by Wet Leg. Those are honorable mentions. They didn't quite make the top 18, but they make the next 18, okay? And I didn't take the time to rank these ones. Just let me tell you this. The idea is, so for the main list, it's 18 ranked, and these honorable mentions, in my mind, take up spots 19 and 20 to round it out at a cool 20, but I stuff all these in here. That's how I like to do it. It makes sense to me, so I hope it makes sense to you. Now, without further ado, let's start the list at number 18. Mariba's The Breeze Grew a Fire. This is a nice, calm, meditative R&B soul record by Mariba, who I was aware of before this year, but not necessarily a fan of. I had checked out some of her music in the past, but didn't really keep it around very much. But I checked this one out, just as I do, just keeping up with artists, and holy shit, this one blew me away, clearly. I mean, I liked it so much that it beat out a lot of other records here, and this one also did make my halftime list, which I did in June, like halftime report of the year. This record was in there, and still throughout the year, I've been continuing to rock with it. I definitely recommend you go listen to it. I'll just kind of leave it at that. She's got just a real sweet, tender voice, and it's so pleasing to listen to, and her melodies and whatnot are just very relaxing and soothing and great for the soul. Rolling on through, my 17th favorite record of 2025 was A$AP Rock's I Heard It's a Mess There Too. Now, this was his second record of the year, his second hip-hop album of the year, and definitely my favorite of the two. He also dropped, I think it's called Black Market Superette, and I was a little disappointed by that one. I still, liked it, but it wasn't hitting my nerves like I wanted it to. But then he pretty quickly followed it up with this amazing record here. It strips away a lot of the headiness that A$AP Rock's music can sometimes suffer from, and it's just like straight boom bap beats, and it's killer hooks, dude. These killer catchy hooks. It's not too lofty, not too big of these complicated stories or anything that A$AP, again, kind of sometimes will suffer from. It's just hard bars, extremely versatile lyrics, which is really what's placing him here for me. Is just, I'm so impressed by his lyrics. Never says the same word twice in a song, truly. And I'm pretty sure people have done the math, counted the words. He is like the most versatile lyricist by numbers too. Like when you count like each different unique words rapped, A$AP Rock is always top in that list. And this is my favorite record of his since he dropped one around like 2022 or so that I was rocking with quite a bit. But super thrilled about this one. Highly recommend it. It's a record where it sounds like all of the beats were made on one device, and that's a great thing here. He really knocked it out of the park with this one. All right, my 16th favorite record of 2025, Dominic Fike's Rocket. Now, this one was not in the plan. I was never a fan of Dominic Fike up until this record dropped this year. Truly never a fan. I had checked out his music for the first time maybe in like 2020 or so and was almost immediately turned off. And then I saw him in Euphoria and was like completely turned off by his appearance in that show. Really just shoehorned in an entire song performance in the middle of an episode. It was so cringy. And then I kind of just stopped caring. But this year, he teamed up with Kevin Abstract because they worked on Blush together. Spoiler alert, we will see that record further down in the list here. And then Rocket came out after Blush, so my interest was piqued by Dominic after Blush and Geezer and Kevin Abstract collabs and all of that work over the summer. So when he dropped this new record, I was definitely gonna check it out, and oh my god, it gets better with every listen. It's such a touching record. The songs on it are very catchy. It carries over more of the same Blush vibes that Dominic brought onto Blush and also brought out of others while they were making that record. So I think this one and Blush are connected in a way, and I'm just loving both of those records, and I'll have more to say about Blush in a little bit. But yeah, I highly recommend this. This was maybe like the biggest surprise that it actually ended up squeezing its way onto this list, because I made this list not by like, oh, I like this guy, or I think I like this record a lot. No, I sat and I listened to each record and I was like, which one sounds the best to my ears? Which one moves me the most? And this one, it beat out a lot of records. So shout out Dominic Fike, really coming into his own in 2025, and I can't wait for the Geezer record, and I can't wait for for more Dominic Fike solo material. Shout out. Okay, my 15th favorite record of 2025. Key Glock's Glockavelli All Eyes on Key edition. If you have not listened to this record, you are in for a freaking treat. Key Glock, Memphis, Tennessee native, famously worked a lot with Young Dolph, very close to Young Dolph before Dolph's tragic passing. And since Dolph's passing, Key Glock has taken the torch and sprinted with it. This is the second time he has ended up in my year-end list this decade, in comparison to Glaucoma 2, which made my year-end list in 2023. This one is sounding more mature, he's sounding more level-headed, and honestly he's sounding more business savvy in a way. Those are just like general feelings that I'm picking up from the way that he's rapping, the things that he's rapping about, because I went back and I listened to Glaucoma 2 just a little bit, not all the way through, and I was just kind of de facto doing some comparisons. Some of his older tracks came up and I'm like, oh, so this year Key Glock is really sounding, like I said, more mature, more thoughtful, but banger after banger after banger. And this All Eyes on Key edition is like the deluxe. So Glockavelli came out earlier this year, and it really didn't make much of a splash for me, but it was when the All Eyes on Key edition came out with an extra like 10 tracks on it, where those tracks are killer, and then it just kept putting those other original album tracks in rotation for me. Now I can't imagine my music discography without them, and that is why he made my number 15 favorite record of 2025. Yeah, this shit is just gnarly. If you like just banger hip-hop, feel-good hip-hop that just you want to blast out the windows, it's just very suave and smooth and cool, and it just sounds good. There's not much reaching you have to do or bending to like it. Like, it's just good music. When you put it on, everybody around you is gonna be like, yo, this shit is hard. Okay, 14th favorite record of the year was Getting Killed by Geese, and this definitely takes the cake for my favorite album title of the year. This is a special award going to Getting Killed, because how perfect is that? Getting Killed by Geese. It's so genius. Also, the cover is really cool. The trumpet and the revolver pointing right at you is the last thing you see before you die type of shit. Like, Getting Killed, like, oh, it's so perfect. This is a rock album, and they first caught my attention a couple years ago with their album 3D Country, and I liked it, but I felt like they could do better. It didn't quite make my year-end list that year, but it was really close, and I highly considered it. And then this record drops, and it's like, wow, this is what I was waiting for. Like, this is the one for me, for this band, Geese. It's rocking all the way through. It's funny. The first song is just like funny as hell. He's just screaming and agonizing about there being a bug in his car, and it's hilarious. It's exactly how you feel when there's a bug in your car. You feel like tortured and trapped, and it's so melodramatic, and it's such a good kickoff for such a great record that I highly recommend you go listen to. If there's one rock album you're gonna listen to this year, let it be Getting Killed by Geese. Go get yourself killed by geese. I know I did. God, that record's awesome. Okay, next, my 13th favorite record of 2025 was Trainspotting by Rome Streetz and Conductor Williams. This is like heroin music. Clearly, by the album title and the cover here, it's meant to look like hypodermic needles, but it's trains. The Photoshop, you see what I mean? Like, it's a circle of trains, and they're kind of Photoshopped in a way to look like needles. Trainspotting, heroin, it's pretty cool. Rome Streetz, he's been catching my ears more and more with each passing year. I didn't really listen to him until he got signed by Griselda, and you know, at first I was like, I don't really see it, I don't really care, but with each year that passes, he is honing in his skills. And here we are in 2025, he teams up with one of my current favorite producers, Conductor Williams, who is also from Kansas City, shout out Kansas City, and they come together to deliver a ghostly, boom bap, street rap record, and I couldn't imagine going this year without it. It really is one of these defining albums of 2025 for me, partly because it kind of came out earlier in the year. This was another one that made my halftime report list back in June, and it's still here. I'm still rocking with it. If you know Conductor Williams, he takes beats and he takes samples and he stretches them out. Imagine if you picked up a sample and you could just stretch it like rubber or something, and when you listen to it, you'll know what I mean. And so that, coupled with Rome Streetz' voice is like glass in a pleasing way, but also like a scary way. It's sharp glass that you're using as a tool, but it could easily cut you, and you could easily just like bleed out there on the street. I don't know. That's Rome Streetz. Like, he really is razor candy. He embodies that. Those were some of his earlier albums, and he is that. He is sharp, and he raps like his voice sounds like that. It's just a beautiful pairing. Rome Streetz, Conductor Williams. It works. It's beautiful, and I hope they do more collabs because I love their sounds. They mesh well together. Okay, the 12th greatest record or album of 2025 was FKA Twigs Twigs, Eusexua. This is a amped up sexual album, given the name here, but it really is electro pop mixed with FKA Twigs, which she's known for her light, feathery, neo-soul vocals, but she really is amping up the pop on this one, going farther away from the avant-garde-esque type of shit she used to do, which some long-term fans might be upset about. I don't know exactly how her fan base is taken to this record, but this one is on the more poppier side, techno side of things, but I appreciate that because that's where I can enjoy her the most. I do enjoy her more experimental shit as well, but I'm not gonna just throw that on in the car. Like now I have a FKA Twigs record that not only can I throw it on in the car, but I'm hyped to throw it on in the car with other people. That wasn't necessarily the case with most of the tracks on Capricorn or whatever last one was from 2022. People seem to like that one a lot. I was never crazy about it. This is the record. Capricorn was more of like a mixtape, small splash. This one, big splash, huge splash. I wish there was at least like one radio track on here. I'd love to see FKA Twigs blow up on a bigger scale, just in the culture. I don't know. She is huge, don't get me wrong, but I feel like she's the type of person that could catapult to extra superstardom, like The Weeknd or something like that. But she is still herself. As you can see from this album cover here, I mean, look at her. She's looking wild. This is one of these records where the rollout for it has spanned almost, I guess we're looking at a year. So that's not as impressive now that I'm talking about it. But the first quite a few singles, like 4 or 5 singles from this album came out in 2024. It felt like half the album came out before it actually dropped. And then it came out in 2025. And then later in 2025, she dropped the Afterglow edition, which was like an additional 10 songs, which I wasn't crazy about. And then also she added some extra songs to the original edition, like around that same time. This is a project that is continuing to breathe and live, and I just really appreciate that. A growing album, an album that's growing with time. There's other examples of artists that have done this. Caroline Polachek, for example, she released Desire, I Turn On To You or whatever, which I have the poster of back here. The rollout for that album with the singles and the deluxe and everything was literally over a course of like almost 4 years. Like one of the singles for this album came out in 2020, it dropped in 2023, and then in 2024 she dropped the deluxe. I like when that happens, at least when I already love the album. Shout out FKA Twigs. Alright, number 11, almost cracking into the top 10. We have Larry June, 2 Chainz, and The Alchemist's Life is Beautiful, the deluxe edition, which will have this version of the cover that you see here, which is painted by Kip Frog on Instagram, which is somebody that I have been following for a while, so really hyped he got this placement. This was a record that I wasn't really sure where it was gonna land. All year, when it first came out, I was kind of underwhelmed by it. The more I listened to it throughout the year, the more like just tracks would pop up from it, and it just got to the point where I was like, some of these tracks will never go away. They're almost like essential modern hip-hop. I just kind of naturally over time grew a love for this record, and then the deluxe came with this souped up album cover, so I was a little extra hype about it when that happened. The 2 extra songs on it were great additions, so that's why I'm recommending specifically the deluxe edition here, because those 2 extra tracks are worth it. I had a lot of the Alchemist projects in consideration here. There's this one, there's the Freddie Gibbs one, Alfredo 2, that made the honorable mentions list. There's also his collab with Hit Boy, Goldfish, and a couple of others. And, you know, I listened to all of them. I had a feeling at least one was going to make this list, but I did not expect it to be this one. But just stacking them all up, this is the one that sticks. These hooks, 2 Chainz is perfect on it. And Larry June, I'm not always crazy about, but Larry June and 2 Chainz complement each other perfectly, and I don't know how that came to be, but whoever had the first idea for them to do a collab together, I don't know how it happened. Maybe it was just organic, maybe they're just homies and it just happened organically. But if there was somebody that was like, I gotta get Larry June and I gotta get 2 Chainz on this record together, if the Alchemist did that, that is genius level thinking, because my god, they complement each other beautifully. And then of course the Alchemist does his thing on it, it's great. And then we even get Alchemist rapping on the last bonus track, which is a nice addition there. Just a little like, yeah, I've been here the whole time, guys. Such a cool record. And I think people maybe kind of wrote it off at first, and maybe they still are, because of another Larry June record, another Alchemist record, 2 Chainz. I don't care about 2 Chainz. But truly, I highly recommend you give this album the time of day, listen to it, digest it. It's swaggy, it's suave, it's cool, it's really well written, and it really is just about life being beautiful. It's not any more complicated than that, and so I just highly appreciate that. Okay, we made it to the top 10. This is huge, guys. My 10th favorite record of 2025 was Hurry Up Tomorrow by The Weeknd. He did it. He did it. He completed another trilogy. I am more shocked than anything that all 3 of these records that came out this decade by The Weeknd ended up in my albums of the year list. 2020 with After Hours. Fast forward, 2022, Dawn FM. And then 2025, Hurry Up Tomorrow, with this one being the best of the 3. I liked After Hours because of the 80s synth pop kind of vibe, and then I liked Dawn FM because it was kind of like pop mixed with moody, and I really like that first track on it where he pitched his vocals down. It was a great record with bops on it. And then fast forward to Hurry Up Tomorrow, 2025, and this sounds like a record that he would have made in 2012. It really does. Obviously with like a fresh polish on it, you know, newer artist features on it, but The Weeknd, his contributions, personally, his vocals, they sound like he recorded them in 2012. It's a miracle. It's amazing. This record proves to me that The Weeknd can do it all. He has all of these eras in his back pocket, and I truly think that he can pull any of those eras out whenever he wants and do them just as well as he did in the era itself. He could do Starboy, he could do Echoes of Silence if he wanted to, he could do Dawn FM, he could do them all whenever he wants at any time. And that to me is extremely impressive. Now we are going to ignore the Hurry Up Tomorrow movie that also came out with this album earlier this year. I didn't watch it. I heard it was terrible.
And I just want to help you, Abel, but you're not
Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! Shut up!
We're gonna ignore the acting, we're gonna ignore the movie, we're just gonna focus on the music and pretend like that is the only thing that he did this year, because if it was just up to that, he would be a 10 out of 10 artist. But that's okay, we don't need to dwell on the movie. I should watch it though. Again, I'm so shocked at how he still sounds like he did when I first fell in love with him. How he can still conjure up those dark, moody feelings of like longing and desire and whatnot and just make you feel the mystery. The mystery is still there in the music at least. Not in the man, but in the music. So shout out The Weeknd. I am also surprised that he is still turning up in these lists throughout all of these years. Like, he is honestly, in my opinion, to me, he's never missed. You may disagree with that, but I disagree with you disagreeing with that. Because every time he drops an album, I'm just like, whoa! Moving on. My 9th favorite record of 2025 was Youth Lagoon's Rarely Do I Dream. Now, this is like an alternative, soft rock kind of vibe here. Really soft, actually. Maybe not even rock. Maybe alt pop. This record is a little bit of Jack Johnson mixed with Beach House mixed with The Neighborhood. This record is beautiful. It's soft to the touch. It's like a soft blanket. Trevor Powers is the musician and Youth Lagoon is like his stage name. This is really just like a guy named Trevor Powers. I'd never heard of this guy before this year, and this record just really kind of swept me off my feet. It's ringing in my head right now. Soft pianos. He's like a songwriter. He like takes a lot of pride in his songwriting. From what I've gathered and just knowing this record and little bits of what I've seen online, he takes his craft very seriously, and he created this really gorgeous, touching, sweet album, and I'm just really grateful for it, and I'm just really glad that something like this came out. Almost similar in a way to the Mariba album, although this one I'm liking quite a bit more than the Mariba album, but they're both very soft, sensual, homey type of albums. The type of album that you listen to when you visit home or something like that. Go check it out. Number 8, my 8th favorite record of 2025, Fred Again's USB. This was a late edition. This came out last month in the midst of my flurry of revisiting all of these albums that I encountered throughout the year. This one came out. I reported on the rollout of this album before it actually even dropped because I was actually super annoyed with this album because Fred Again released each song individually over the course of like a couple of months or something. And so every week this album would repopulate at the top of my Apple Music with just one new song. I sort my music very particularly. I have to delete the songs I already put in there just to re-add them. I'm like, no. I told myself, I already hate this album. It's not even out. And I'm so annoyed by the way that he's releasing it. I'm mad. And so I reported on that. And then like a week later it dropped. And my God, this album is incredible. This is my electronic album of the year. It's my 8th favorite album of the year. But this is my number 1 favorite electronic album of the year. Especially after going onto YouTube and watching clips. There's so many clips out there of Fred Again making these songs. A lot of these songs, at least the back half of this record, kind of dropped over the course of 4 years or so, and that's I think why he released it in that way, because it's more of like a set list as opposed to an album that flows particularly from this track to this specific track to this specific track. It's more of like you can throw it on shuffle. It's like a DJ set because that's what he is. But the videos of him producing, like, he is just so talented on the drum pads.
I need that paper in my pocket. Inside my rocket. Baby, you can see me in the cockpit. Bombs on you, and I don't even smoke like that. Already elevated cause I roll like that. I be levitated on a daily basis. Steady meditating, doing yoga. Breathe out, baby, don't hold it in. Breathe in, baby, your soul needs that. Who's out here thinking that we don't wait till the season of man hold it back. Not too many who get it like this. I'm walking that walk, I'm talking my shit. I'm crashing their planes, I'm sinking their ships. We ready for war, you better not miss. I'm crossing your corners, taking your chips. Put me on tour, I'm taking your pitch. Pushing that Jordan, 100%. Got on my life, I need that.
In my opinion, this is where electronic music should be. With how creative he gets, with how much he switches up, it never gets boring. His songs always have a twist or a turn or something that takes you by surprise. It is almost always unpredictable, his music. It deserves to be as praised as much as it is. I know he's very popular right now, especially in the UK. Oh, and that's another cool thing about this record. There is a lot of rap on it, which is awesome, and it's a lot of UK rappers. And actually, almost all of the feature artists are UK or European, so it's really like a United Kingdom affair here. Us Americans have really nothing to do with this record, but I'm here to enjoy it. So Europeans, they go hard as hell. And this album cover is cool. It reminds me of Die Lit by Playboi Carti. That's fun. My 7th favorite record of 2025, Playboi Carti's Music, Sorry for the Wait. Ironically, I just mentioned Playboi Carti and I didn't even realize that I put him next, but it is true. Now, this is definitely my guilty pleasure of the year, not because I'm embarrassed to listen to his music, but I am embarrassed to listen to Playboi Carti. Playboi Carti is a very morally questionable person at this point, abuser, hitting his pregnant girlfriend, that kind of shit, but my god, this record is so good. It's so robust. It's huge. This thing is long as hell, and by the way, I'm specifically shouting out the Sorry for the Wait edition, which is like the deluxe edition, because it adds 3 crucial tracks: 2024, Backdoors, and Fuck On My DJ, which came out in 2024, but they deserve to be on this record. That's their home, and so that's why I recommend the Sorry for the Wait edition for sure. What do I say about this? I mean, the Kendrick features, that shit's crazy, so cool. Playboi Carti is a true chameleon. He is a true chameleon. I mean, it's just raw talent. It just comes down to raw talent. It's not like, oh, he's a genius or this or that. Like, no, the dude is just really versatile. His vocal range is super versatile. He's very creative. He always is trying something new, and the features that he pulls on this thing are just unignorable. The beats on this thing are fucking crazy, dude. Like, some of the most fun music to come out all year, and I can't deny it. I haven't put this record down. Every time one of these tracks come on shuffle, I listen to the whole thing, and sometimes I'll maybe even seek out more after one has popped up on shuffle, because once I listen to one, I want more. And going through and listening to all these records, one of my most fun listening experiences, just going back, and it's so long, which isn't always a good thing, but when I love all of the songs, a long record is amazing because there's just so much. So I'm just eating up. It's like an hour and a half of music here. It just goes and it gives. It's got so much to give. I'm sad that a person like this gets a spot as coveted as this, but I can't lie. Like, I'm just strictly talking music here. Okay, it's getting serious. My 6th favorite music project of 2025 was Saba and No IDs from the private collection of Saba and No ID. I will say this, while Geese's Getting Killed got my best album title of the year, Saba and No IDs from the private collection of Saba and No ID gets the worst album title of the year. Yes, both my favorite album title of the year and my least favorite album title of the year made my favorite records of the year list. I don't know if that's interesting to you, but it is to me. This is what we were waiting for. This is what they were crafting for years. It all made sense once this dropped, because they dropped so many singles for this thing over the course of so many years, you know, a handful of years, that I started to lose hope for this project. They teased it. They said, it's coming, we're working, we're dropping singles. And it got to be this year, and I remember thinking like, yo, this thing better knock my socks off. It better tickle my boots. I just created an expression for what it must do to me for it to be worth it, or for me to even have faith in Saba as a artist anymore, because I was not a big fan of his record before this. Few Good Things, not a fan of that record. Up until that point, was a huge fan of Saba, so that record was a big letdown, and it was all kind of riding on this one for me, and holy shit, they knocked it out of the park. I mean, this record is everything that I love about Saba, and mixed with the No ID production, you know, the Chicago legend status. This is Kanye West's producer mentor, No ID. All hailing from Chicago. This is a Chicagian affair. Is that how you would say that? A Chi-Town affair. My favorite Saba project is Bucket List Project, which in my opinion is highly underappreciated. I don't know, it's just not talked about enough. It's not given its flowers enough in my opinion. People talk about other Saba records more than they talk about the Bucket List Project, which is fine, but Bucket List Project should at least be talked about as much as Care For Me by Saba. But regardless, this record here is giving me hints of the Bucket List Project, and it's even got follow-up tracks to some old Saba songs, like West Side Bound Part 4 is on here, and then we got Woes of the World. I mean, Woes of the World is such an incredible song, and then Stomping might actually be my favorite song of the year. So this record is very serious. It is a heavy hitter, right? And if you've never listened to Saba, this would be like a great first record to listen to of Saba's. He was like one of these young rap prodigies that came up around 2012, 2013, much like a Joey Badass in a way, but their come up was much different. Like really young and like extremely gifted. And I'm pretty sure Saba actually did go to like some school for the gifted or something. Not to say that his life was easy. I know he has experienced a lot of tragedy. I know he's experienced a lot of tragedy even after he got famous. So shout out to Saba, shout out to No ID. Thank you for delivering us this gift of a record. It really is. This record is truly a gift. Honestly, I need to get this on vinyl. This is one I need to cop on vinyl. So, oh my god, this is so exciting, so big. We are entering the Quarter Day Recordings top 5 records of 2025. I'm excited. You're excited. This is the biggest deal of the channel. This is the Super Bowl for this channel, and I love how it's the first episode of the new year. I think that's what I did last year too. So this is how it's gonna work. This is our second annual Albums of the Year episode, and it always lands as the first episode of the new year. You know, like Fantano, for example, the Needle Drop, he always does his year-end lists before the year is over. So like anything that comes out the last couple of weeks, probably like the whole last month of the year, doesn't get considered for that year. I'm sure he considers it in the following year, but like I like to keep 2025 in 2025, and I'll report on 2025 when we're out of it, right? That's my thought process. So we do it a couple days into the new year, just so we can get that January 1st to December 31st, 2025, all in consideration. I think this is a very approachable list too. Approachable musically, approachable and digestible to music fans of all stripes. It's a fun list. It's an enjoyable list. But let me give another special shout out right here. Again, you can go watch me review my top 72 favorite albums from 2020 to 2023. So it's like the 4 years that I was making my list this way before I started the channel. I just made them all in one video, so you can go see them all there. We gotta crack into this top five clips like God sort them out. You knew it was showing up. You knew it was gonna be here, obviously, from the thumbnail. Clipse, Pusha T, Malice, reunion album. What, like 20 years since the last one? At least almost 20 years. Entirely produced by Pharrell Williams. This shit is essential. Immediately essential hip hop. It's pop. It's dirty. It's mean. But it's also beautiful and touching. There's a tribute to their parents on it. The first track. It's nasty. Pusha T, he's not leaning into the coke thing as much these days, but he's still leaning into the raw, rough doggedness of it. I think that's a great word for it. He's still barking. Clipse is bark and bite, and he is not holding back on this record. And of course, Malice. Can't ignore Malice on this shit. I think he left Jesus at the door on this record because he is scarier than Pusha T on this, especially coupled with his interview appearances, his stone cold face, and all of the interviews that they did throughout the year. I mean, there is really something special going on here. I can't wait to hear more records. It sounds like they are gonna keep working. I don't think they're pumping the brakes on this at all. So hopefully that means more of this sooner rather than later. More clips. And when I did my live reaction to this record over the summer, I said something that I still stick with today, and it stuck with me since I said it. Pharrell Williams is simultaneously the best part of this record and the worst part of this record. And Pharrell is partly what has this album placing at such a high spot as number 5, but he is also responsible for it not reaching any higher than the 5th placement. It's not my favorite record of the year. It's just not. I mean, there's some beats on here, there's some corners, some turns it takes where I'm like, did I just turn on Coldplay? And don't get me wrong, I like Coldplay, but I'm trying to listen to Clipse. I don't know. There's some moments that don't necessarily make it for me, but all in all, this shit is a hell of a listen, and it's essential hip hop. Again, that's why it's placing so high. I mean, this record is cemented in the history books, and it's fantastic. It really is. And this is one where it's like there's no fat on here, and so I highly appreciate that about this record. It was worth the wait. I gotta say, it was worth the wait. Okay, my 4th favorite record of 2025, Mike Shab's shabbvangogh. This is the underdog of the year. He is a Canadian rapper. Pretty sure he's from Montreal. He's like French Canadian, and he also happens to be missing one of his ears, and that's the whole like Van Gogh reference here. And you can see he's got a bandage wrapped around the side of his head. He's like Vincent Van Gogh, and he is a producer and rapper. So he produced every track on this record, made every one of these beats, and his beats, they're very unique. He always catches you by surprise. You can't predict his next move. He samples some like really odd shit. He does some weird things here and there, and it's not necessarily conventional, but his rapping tone and his delivery is hypnotic, and I really have fallen in love with it over the course of the last years. He also had a record that made 2024's album of the year list, Suicide 3, which I also highly recommend you listen to. Now, this made splashes for me right when it dropped, really early on this year. It made my halftime report list, and I knew it was definitely going to end up on this list, but it ended up placing higher than I thought it was going to, and I had it lower at first, I remember, and the more I listened to it, the more I compared it, this is where it belongs. It is this good. He's like the breakout artist of the last 2 years for me. Breakout rapper. If we're just talking rappers, rapper and producers, you know, like hip-hop creatives that are really hustling out there, that are new on the scene, he is taking that underdog award for me. I've given him a lot of shout-outs online over the course of the last year, and he also dropped another record called Fight the Power later in the year, and that's a good record too. You should go listen to it, but it's not as good as shabbvangogh in my opinion. And let's move on here to our top 3. This is about as big of a deal as you can get. My third favorite record of 2025 goes to Kevin Abstract, with such a special, monumental, and I think it will become more clear as time progresses, important record here. This record truly shows, in my opinion, what Kevin Abstract is capable of. At least what he's capable of in a post-Brockhampton world, right? We knew he was capable of Brockhampton, like, wow, like, damn, he definitely got his flowers for that shit, right? But here he is doing essentially the same thing, but having it feel brand new and so fresh, and the music ends up turning out to be, okay, I might get shit for this, but Blush is a better, more cohesive album than Saturation 1. However Kevin is doing this, he's figured it the fuck out, and he's done it now with 2 different groups of people and achieved and created 2 different sounding, yet you can tell that they're related bodies of music. Obviously, we're comparing Brockhampton's 7 albums to Blush's 1, but there should be more Blush albums in the future because it is a collective, as well as the title of Kevin Abstract's solo album. But I'm just kind of in awe with what Kevin Abstract is able to put together, and all of the turning wheels that he's able to juggle, and the relationships he's able to foster. Like, not just normal relationships, these like beautiful creative relationships with so many different people. And now with like the Geezer thing and Dominic Fike collaboration and his Quedeca collabs, I've fallen so deeply in love with this Blush sound, which also bleeds into Rocket by Dominic Fike. What they're doing is so special. It's got hints of Sublime, and then of course it's got hints of Brockhampton. I mean, you got the electronic tracks, you got the rap tracks, you got the country tracks, but they all sound of the same family. And that's what Kevin Abstract exceeds at. Kevin Abstract is a master producer, and with Brockhampton, he was more of like this leader figure. Blush doesn't feel as ego-driven as Brockhampton did. And that's why I think I'm feeling hopeful for Blush. And maybe Blush actually has some, at least more longevity than Brockhampton did. And to be honest, Brockhampton lasted longer than I thought they would. And I like the idea that Blush isn't this solid, exclusive band. Blush is supposed to be this living, breathing, organic, creative nebula. I don't know. It's super abstract, but maybe that's the key. Maybe it needs to be loosey-goosey to survive. Time will tell. But in the near future, I'm very hyped and excited for the Geezer album. I pray we get that in 2026. I need it. Clearly, I need the Geezer album. Kevin, Dominic, talking to you two. Y'all made the list. You know, don't just take that and collect your flowers and go home. I would love for that to motivate y'all to give me Geezer, please. We got 2 more albums to talk about here. The 2 most coveted spots of the night. Starting with my second favorite album of 2025, Bon Iver with Sable Fable. I feel like I don't deserve this record. This record is such a gift. We did nothing to deserve it, yet here we are and we have it, and I actually own it on vinyl. I meant to set it up right there tonight, but I didn't. I'll set it up for next week's. But wow, Bon Iver, he went back and he rediscovered the formula. And maybe he never even lost it, but I think he did, and he kind of was hinting towards that in some of the promo for this record here. According to what I heard from one of my professors, which we were talking about this record because I used it as inspiration for one of my assignments, and my teacher happened to be a fan of Bon Iver as well, and so we kind of struck up a conversation about this record, and he told me that Bon Iver was apparently sick of being on the road. He was sick of this like fast lifestyle, and so he scaled back or something like that. He scaled back, and that actually does go hand in hand with something that I personally picked up on in the lead up to this album. Bon Iver saying something like he went back to the forest with this record. I, was optimistic because the record hadn't come out. I'm like, okay, well that sounds good, but no, he wasn't fucking lying. He went back to like the self-titled type of days. But honestly, this is more in comparison to 22 A Million, which is my favorite Bon Iver album. This one has so many hints and tones of that era of Bon Iver that I immediately fell in love with this record. Even before the LP of it dropped, which is another cool thing about this record. It's very unique in its structure. The first 4 songs are an EP titled Sable, and that came out in 2024. So that's just the Sable EP, right? And then Fable is the LP, but they are connected. They are one and the same. I like that. It's a very interesting listening experience, especially when you own the vinyl. Double disc, First disc, you play at 45 speed, and it's only got, like, one of the sides only has one song, which kind of tripped me out. And then the second disc is 33 speed, and it's front and back, and that's the LP. It makes for a different kind of listening experience as far as vinyl goes, because, you know, the record stops, you gotta flip it, and that changes how you interact with the album when you listen to it that way. So I find that really special about it, and I don't know. This is the type of record that just, like, it hits me in such, like, this personal spot that it's a record that makes me cry. Like, genuinely, I'm, like, tearing up describing it and thinking about the music that's running through my head right now. Man, I just truly fucking love this record. I don't know. It's amazing. And I might even cry a little bit more. My God, my favorite record of the year, Mac Miller's Balloonerism. Talk about a haunting record. The last song when the phone is just ringing and it never answers. I don't know. But that's why it gets my number one spot, because there's not a record that hits me in my emotions as deep as this one does that came out this year. It was recorded in 2014 during the Faces era, like actually before Faces. And in a 3-day time span, this record was created and then held by Mac in his own personal playlist for years. And then he even went as far as reaching out to this artist to start talking about commissioning an album cover for it based on this artist's work. So his family was able to put this record out, and I'm just so grateful that we have this. It's so dope that, like, this shit was sitting in his Apple Music as a playlist unreleased for years. This is like such a personal album for Mac that he didn't even know how to release it. He wanted it for himself, and now we are blessed with it as well. And I think about that every time I put this record on. Sorry for getting all emotional, but this record will do that to you. Again, the end of it is just so haunting. It's fucking creepy, dude. It really is. So that's why it stirs up all these emotions, because there's not really another record that's like it out there. The history and the context of it is crazy. And to be honest, as soon as this record dropped, it was the first record to come out this year, and as soon as it dropped, I was like, well, year's wrapped, bro, because it's not gonna get better than this. And it didn't. And I knew that the moment that I listened to it for the first time. I was like, wow, this is it. This is my record of the year. And it is. And that's why I got, shout out, Ian Woods made this print, and it's kind of hard to see, but it's a cool collage mesh of faces and balloonerism, and it's a beautiful piece of art. So shout out Ian Woods for that. That's the list, y'all. And I got this, so you can see it in all its glory. We got the list plus the honorable mentions. So I will be posting this on Instagram for your reference, and that's it.